Good morning. This is Dave Dyer with Biz Radio. It's the morning of December 23rd, and I'm here with my favorite trading partner, Goldie, my fine cat. Got a few ideas on the economy. I normally talk more about the stock market than the economy, but let me just throw some ideas out. I've got four things that I think don't work for getting the economy going again, and I've got three that I think do work. And I've talked these over with Goldie, and he agrees with me. So you know they're pretty good. Anyway, let me just go through these and see what you think. First of all, protectionism doesn't work. You know, it's always one of the things that the government considers. The government is always eager to look good, to look like they're doing something to fix the economy, and the danger is they'll do something that harms it. They did that in the Great Depression with the Smoot-Hawley tariffs. It started off a trade war. It cut off international markets for our goods and actually hurt the economy. Any kind of protectionism in an economic slowdown is a bad idea. And I think people in general realize that now. So that's number one. Number two, public works. I know that's a popular topic now, and I know we're going to do it, and it does help alleviate some short-term pain, but it's not the real stimulus for the economy that's going to produce the kind of real growth that sustains an economy. And the evidence there is that it didn't work in the Great Depression. Yeah, they built some dams, and the San Antonio Riverwalk was a WPA project. They came up with some nice things. But in reality, the economy was as bad in 1938 as it was in 1930. It didn't work. And it's not going to work again. It takes a long time to get started, and once you get going, yeah, some people work for the government, some potholes get filled, and some bridges get built, and we need all that stuff anyway. It's not really horrible, but that's not going to be the answer. Number three, higher taxes, especially higher taxes to take money out of the economy to pay for these public works projects. That's not a good idea, because all that does is take the money away from the private sector and give it to the government. And we know that you can't tax your way to prosperity. More government spending, more government control of the economy rarely has resulted in what we know here in Texas as prosperity. Okay, and finally, and this one is tempting, is blaming the rich. Blaming the rich for the economic problems. That doesn't work either. Poor people are not poor because rich people are rich. There's not just a fixed amount of money, and the only question is how to divvy it up fairly amongst people. That's the big fallacy of the socialists. They think that there's a fixed supply of money and we just have to be fair and just and let the government divide it up. No. Money grows, it contracts, it expands. Wealth is produced by economic activity. It's a very fundamental thing that I know I didn't really understand that until I was in college. I thought of wealth as, well, there's a certain amount of gold, you know, and we'll steal it from these guys and they'll steal it from us. It's not like that. So blaming the rich, which is, you know, again, a natural tendency of people in our government, that's not going to help the economy. Actually, you know, the wealthy people are the ones who invest, who start businesses, take the risks. They've got the excess capital to take risks. So those are four things that I think are pretty well discredited, although they'll be done in some degree with maybe limited success and limited harm. All right, let me tell you some things that I do like. First of all, and I've got three of these, and these are things that the government can actually be involved in. One of them is lower interest rates. The Fed has done a great job. We got them down near to zero. That's going to make it easier for people to start businesses, easier for people to invest. It'll drive money out of the safe things and into riskier things, like new business ventures. So helping anything that the government can do to force down interest rates, I think is going to be very good for the economy. The government doesn't really control the interest rates, it's really a market function in the end. But I think the government has a hand in that, and that's good. So I like that. Number two, new technology, funding new technology. Most of the real booms that we've had have been based on some dramatic new technology. In the 1920s, it was the radio or the car. That fueled all sorts of economic development. In the 1990s, we had the internet. So coming up with new technologies that make fundamental changes in society, if the government wants to fund that kind of stuff, I'm all in favor of it. And I think two of the big areas that we can look for, and that I, as an investor, actively look for because I'm trying to find that next big winner, two of these big areas are, first of all, battery technology. We need a good, portable, lightweight, long-lasting battery. Generating electricity is pretty easy. There's lots of stuff: wave power, solar power, wind power, tons of things. But there's not really yet a good way to do it as far as storing it. So battery technology, anything the government wants to do, seed money for people. One of the things you might look at that I'm interested in is the vanadium battery. It's a flow battery that would be used in wind farms and solar farms to store things. So that type of thing, I think, does help. And if we had a battery technology that really worked and that was inexpensive, we could generate untold amounts of inexpensive electricity and do things like desalination of large amounts of water to irrigate various parts of the country that are just worthless now. Arizona, look at all that desert. That could be all irrigated if we could desalinate the water with inexpensive electricity. And batteries are going to be essential to that. So I think anything the government can do to help come up with a new technology. Another area of new technology that I'd like to see the government spend more money on is genetic research. We are just at the very beginning of the genetic revolution, and it just really started with the decoding of the human genome in 2003. There are massive advantages that are going to come from that, and seeing the government invest some money in that, that's fine. Same thing with stem cells. I think especially the new adult stem cell information, it's potentially world-changing technology. So those things would help the economy. And finally, and this was a little more controversial, one thing that I think has always helped the American economy, and it ought to be considered now very seriously, is immigration. Not just a little immigration, but a lot of immigration. We've got a lot of people who would love to live here. We've got a lot of people who would really value the freedoms and the security that we have here. People who bring real skills, engineering degrees, teachers, doctors, scientists. I want to see a brain drain from the rest of the world to the United States. I want to see us open up the doors for immigrants. Not just the illegals that can get here illegally. That's not a good idea. I don't support that. But I want to see people who understand the value of our Bill of Rights, for example. I think the Bill of Rights is probably one of the most incredible and important documents ever written in the history of man. And we need people who want to live in an environment of limited government where they're protected from the government by a Bill of Rights and understand the value of that. So those are three things that I think the government can do now. Probably won't do all of them, but I'm not in charge, so I don't get to make these calls. But that's my opinion, and like I said, Goldie agrees with me, as he does on most things. So anyway, this is Dave Dyer of Biz Radio, and you can go to our website, bizradio.com, and get all sorts of other cool stuff. Thank you. Bye-bye.